let's just jump straight in to the first topic of a desperate leader. Now, I don't know if you have ever seen this story. Netflix did a special documentary about it. You're going back probably about a year or two ago, maybe a little bit longer, called Fyre Festival. Now, if you haven't heard about this, it was meant to be a music festival that was in the Bahamas. They rented out an island and sold heaps of tickets. All the influencers promoted it to be this big next thing. It cost a bunch of money, lost all the investors a lot of money. All the people who turned up, the festival wasn't even ready. The locals of the island were just used and abused, weren't paid for their time. They worked tirelessly to try to set it up. In the end, it ended up just being a bunch of emergency tents that were set up, no beds, toast and slice of cheese that that was given for food, and it ended up being an absolute mess. And the organizer of it was Billy McFarland. Now, he went to jail. He went to jail for fraud because he's a fraudster, and he did this. He did his stint in jail, but he's now out. And what do you do when you're desperate after scamming people from a failed music festival? Well, let me tell you what you do. You go back and do another festival and call it the exact same name and call it not Fyre Festival, Fyre 2.0. And there's so much to talk about with this story. But Dr. Rod, I don't even know where to start with this, because it seems, here's the thing. Is it desperation? Is this a bad decision, or is this genius?
It might be a little bit of both. It seems to me the reason why Fyre 1.0 was such a flop was that nobody involved in the organisation of that festival had any understanding of logistics. Mm-hmm. So there was no planning, there was no logistics, and the whole thing wound up as an absolute debacle. And as you've said, McFarland went to jail for 4 years because he was found to have defrauded people. And it really looks as if he's doing the same thing again. And but people have bought tickets. We don't know how many. He says early release tickets sold out. This concert, by the way, doesn't happen until December 2024, as I understand it. Mm-hmm. So it's a fair way off. But I wouldn't be buying a ticket, that's for sure.
No, I think that, the video that I just showed and reference is from Brett Cooper, from the comment section with Brett Cooper. She did a nice little report on this. You can check the link out below. And it's just interesting that she said that, most people are buying tickets. She's interested in buying tickets just to see the spectacle, not because they're expecting it to be good, but, but I mean, look, part of me is like, okay, he's a leader of some sort, a failed leader, but he's a leader. And what he knows is events. Well, kind of. Well, what he knows is promotion. Like, he was really good at promoting the event. Let's just say that. Like, he's this big ideas person, all that. Like, he's good at that. So when you come out of jail, you've got a whole bunch of people that you owe money to. Do what you know best. Like, just do it, put on another one, and hopefully you've learned from your lesson. Is that, I'm kind of caught between, is this smart? Like, I'm coming back, I need to pay people back, I'm just going to do with what I know, ride the wave of all the fame or infamousy that he got from this festival? Or is this just another scam? Should he stay away, or should he do what he knows best and just keep trying at it, try again?
Well, look, it's hard to know from the information that's publicly available what his motivation really is. I do know of people in the past who have tried to redeem themselves by, gaining back what they lost before. John Maynard Keynes, very well known by economists. He used to invest money on behalf of friends. He lost a lot of money during the Great Depression and then spent many years after that getting it all back again. So some people have the highest of possible motives. But it's very hard to know in this case. And I think buying a ticket is certainly risky because it looks as if he's a one-man band. We're not really told anything about an organisation which is being built to ensure that the logistical failures that lay behind the debacle of Fire 1.0 will not recur. So, if I was a regulator or if I was, involved in law enforcement or anything like that, I'd be wanting to know, well, what is the organisation that you've established that sits behind this so that we can have, some sense of comfort that you're actually going to pull through and that this particular version of Fire will actually turn out to be okay this time.
Yeah, I would hope that he's learned from his lesson. But I think that talking about desperate leaders, obviously he's been in jail. He has a big debt of people to pay back. He's in a desperate situation. And I kind of feel like when we get desperate, we need to stick to what we know. Like, think of what assets do I like we have. When I talk with clients, when we get into a desperate situation, I do this, which is I call it a gun to the head, activity, right? Let's say someone you love unconditionally, immensely, someone's holding a gun to their head and says, you need to succeed at this. Or if I'll have a client that they're like, oh, we need to make an extra $10,000 a month or whatever it may be. It's like, okay, so if someone's got a gun to someone, to the head of someone you love, write down on a piece of paper right now what you can do to make $10,000 more a month. And I say, don't stop short. Don't stop short. Even robbing a bank is something you can do, right? We're not going to, but just write it down. That's the thing. Just get those creative juices going. And so it is really looking at what's your resources. What have you got? When you're in that desperate situation, what resources are available to you? What skills have you got? What can we use to be able to get ourselves out of this situation? And I kind of feel like he's doing that. Like you said, we don't know the full story. We don't know what's going on. And please, I'm not defending him. He messed up a whole island here in the Bahamas, and that's kind of hard. When I say here, it's just up the road from me here, and I'm not excusing. I hope that he pays back everyone, especially pays back that island and all those locals. I really hope that. But when we get desperate as leaders, we should stick to what we know. But I think that the key is we need to make sure that we learn also from our mistakes. And we need to go back to, like you said, his issue was logistics. He had the connections. He had all the biggest acts. He had the promotion. He knew how to get the funding. He knew, that's his skill set. But one big thing that was lacking was the logistics, actually executing on things, because he's just, look, we've all served under leaders, either worked or at church or whatever, that are just big visionaries. Their visions are too big for their abilities, and so they just run too fast, and it could have been really good if he had someone that was actually executing on all of his big ideas, because he was last minute, he's like, let's just do this. This will be a great idea. And let's do this. And that'll be a great idea. So, I think part of the challenge here is getting back to what you know. And here's a question though, Dr. Rod. What do we do? He scammed a lot of people, right? And I'm saying scammed because I don't know whether he intentionally did it, but he defrauded, like that. He definitely has been accused and convicted of fraud. People call him a scam. Maybe he was just bad at what he did. Maybe he didn't set out to actually scam people. Maybe he did. But how do you come back from that? How do you prove yourself? Because he's getting all this criticism for doing the exact same thing that he did, but how do you actually prove to people? How do you how do you right a wrong?
Well, first of all, I think you tell people that's what your motivation is. And so what I haven't really seen from him at this point
Yes.
effectively is, I'm sorry, my main motivation with Fire 2 is to get back some of the money I lost on your behalf with Fire 1.0, and I'll worry about profit down the track. So, and also some assurance that he's actually got some people in behind him. It's great to be a visionary, and good leaders always are leaders who can carry a vision and who can convince others of the vision. But if that's all you are, then you're really not a well-rounded leader at all.
Yes.
And I've seen leaders who are primarily about vision. They tend to be fairly charismatic in the sense that people find them attractive. They don't find it difficult to generate followers. And we see this through social media and so on. But if you are a leader like that, then one of your flaws is you probably aren't good at carrying things through. In other words, you're not good at the logistics and at the planning. So find someone who is, and they need to be your 2IC.
Yeah.
And so what I'd like to see from him, from Billy McFarland, is some evidence, one, that he's sorry for what happened the first time, two, that his primary focus is on righting that wrong, and three, that he is gathering around him others who are able to make up for the gaps in his own approach and personal gifting and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think that was a big thing that stood out to me. I'm like, all this promotion is just gone, this is awesome. And Brett Cooper actually comments on, like, he's sitting on a New York City rooftop, which is expensive, in a white robe, and living this luxury lifestyle, while there's all these people out there that he's lost money from. You do want to see a little bit of repentance. Well, not a little bit. You want to see repentance. I think that's one of, like, we teach forgiveness in our free leadership development program. Shameless plug, down in the link below. We talk about forgiveness. As a leader, we need to first of all forgive ourselves, forgive those people that in the past, and be able to forgive people, because as leaders, people are going to do things wrong by us. But I think when it comes to forgiveness, being able to forgive people is one thing, but doing business with people again is another. And we've spoken about some personal challenges that I've had about some things like, yeah, but I'm not seeing any repentance. That's what's holding me back. I'm like, I can forgive, but to move forward with this person, I've got to see repentance. Like, we have to, like, if we are to, it's that whole argument, like the Christians always talk about is, well, Jesus forgave and everything like that. It's like, yeah, you got to forgive, but it doesn't mean you stay in an abusive relationship. It doesn't mean you stay with someone who keeps stealing money from you and just keep forgiving them, Well, Billy McFarland lost this money. I'm just going to forgive him and give him another chance, because eventually we become an enabler rather than being able to protect ourselves. We can forgive someone from afar, right? And so I kind of feel like that is one thing that I think is missing from this situation, is a repentance. Where's the acknowledgement of, like, hey guys, Fire 1.0 was a mess and I messed up. The closest thing I get to that is, he's like, well, I spent 7 months in solitary and this is what I wrote. It's like, hang on a second, you didn't consider, no mention of the island that he just left in a mess. No mention of the people in the island that he didn't pay. I just find that it seems like he's a hype man, like it's all about driving forward. It's all about the big vision. It's all about, all that sort of stuff. But they do forget that there's people that they are affecting along the way. And so, look, I think the one thing we can learn from the Fire Festival, or from Billy McFarland trying to bring it back, being desperate to make back money, trying to make up his reclaim his fame and clean up his name. One of the things we can learn is, well, number one, I think when we get into desperate times, we need to make sure that we look at what are our resources, what's available to us, what are we good at, what are our skills, what's immediately available around us. That's a good thing. But if we're coming back from a mistake, it's important that we as leaders show repentance. Not just show repentance, repentance means turning away, like I'm not going to do that action again, but also showing a clear strategy of how we're going to avoid making that same mistake again in the future. But keeping our eyes out for Fyre Festival 2.0, and let's see what a spectacle it will be this time. Let's hope he's learned his lesson. Let's hope he can repay all the people who lost money, and most importantly, go back and correct his wrongs on the island and all the people that missed out there. Hey, you've just watched an excerpt from the On the Cube with Leadership podcast. If you've liked that, give it a thumbs up. If you've got any thoughts of how it challenged or helped your leadership, put a comment below. And we'd be honored if you would consider subscribing for more leadership content. Also, make sure you check out the playlist for more episodes like this.